Hi, good morning. My name is Denise Tamez. I am the co-founder of Arcleaf Media. We do PR, wellness, marketing strategies for all of these wonderful brands. And I am very excited to be part of Biohackers World here in Austin, Texas. And I am very excited to introduce my guest. This is Jonathan Mendoza, known as Nurse Doza to his big following on social media. He's a celebrity, and I am very excited to introduce him.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. I'm excited for this.
Cool. So, Jonathan, tell us a little about yourself. I know you have a big following on TikTok, social media, and I am very excited because I was able to share with my guests, my fans and audience, that I was going to interview you. And some of them asked me some personal questions that they would like to know. So this is a very special, conversation because we will be able to, engage both of our audiences.
I love it. All right, let's do it.
Okay, so what we want to know is how you got into this journey of holistic health and wellness, because I know it's not like the traditional route, and there's a personal story of recovery, finding yourself. So I'd like for you to share our audience's journey.
Thank you. This is a really good story, actually. So it started when I was a kid. I hurt my back. I was a baseball player, and I was given the options of pills and injections and eventually surgery. I tried traditional routes, didn't work. No one ever told me about a chiropractor. And when I decided I wanted to become a chiropractor, it's because I said, I'm going to be that missing piece in healthcare that we need to help support people in their time of need by giving them options that might be outside the norm, right? Like give them the possibility to make their own educated decision about their own body. And so chiropractic allowed me to do that. Plus you get to help the body naturally, just your hands, right? Mm-hmm. So when I was in chiropractic school, I quickly realized I wanted to do more. I wanted to be able to actually prescribe medication, which you're not allowed to do as a chiropractor. So in chiropractic school, I started the nurse practitioner program. And so I was doing a chiropractic school by day and nursing at night. And that was my life for probably the next 4 or 5 years. And then when I got done with all of that, I knew my vision was I wanted to create my ultimate dream practice where I was able to incorporate things like injections, maybe even chiropractic, blood work. I could do podcasts. I mean, I could host lunch and learns. All of that was for the idea that I wanted to help as many people as I could. But it was also my story. So the background behind all that was I was 20 years ago a pre-diabetic. I was 45 pounds heavier. I was drinking way too much alcohol, eating way too much fast food, and staying up late at night. I basically stopped drinking alcohol 13, 14 years ago. Found out my liver was an issue, started working on that. And then I had a nervous breakdown 10 years ago, and I've changed my diet ever since then. I've been working on my nervous system, and it's led me to the point where the whole reason I talk about health the way I do is because I've basically been doing my own journey and helping people along their journey at the same time.
That's an awesome story, and how you were able to turn a crisis into ultimately a strength, and using that to move forward and just doing something good out of it. So what can you tell us about how, because I know you gave some interviews and you talk about this in social media, how when you were learning about medicine and the body, you were also finding ways that you could kind of hack not feeling hungover or getting the supplements. So how did that start, and how do you think this led to where you are now?
Oh yeah, at the Biohacking World Expo, I can tell you right now, I was not a biohacker, and I don't really consider myself one, to be honest. I do vitamins. That's the thing, and so because I do vitamin injections and vitamin IVs and lab work, and I know labs and I know supplements, the biohackers incorporate that in their everyday routine. And so I had to learn, what biohacking was, and this concept of overriding a poor lifestyle to make up your health. And I said, well, you can't really hack your way into sleep, you can't hack your way into poor diet, but you can do certain things to support what you're doing. So I like the concept of the science behind everything. And so the liver is my idea about talking about health. No matter what you do as far as your sleep, your hormones, you want to live to 120, you got to have a healthy liver. And the truth is, everyone can biohack their way into health, but 1 billion people around the world have a fatty liver as we speak. So we need to work on that too.
Of course. No, and I'm glad you mentioned the liver, because that's something that one of your fans wanted to know about how. So with the liver function in the body, so crucial, and sometimes it's so overlooked. We talk about brain health, we talk about gut health, but like no one really sometimes like really mentions the importance. So how can you share like some strategies or techniques for someone at home, you know, who has no medical nursing background? How can they, you know, do things to optimize their liver health?
Oh, this is a great question. The first thing I would say, you could eat real food when you're actually hungry. That's my stance on diet. Like
Okay.
you could ask me, what should I be eating for this? Eat real food when you're actually hungry. And I can explain that, and I'll even talk about that later. But for the liver, it's pretty simple, actually. You know, when you eat real food, there's things like avocados, which I'm a big fan of, chicken eggs, which are both high in omega-3s, right, which the liver loves. The broccoli, cruciferous vegetables, you know, garlic, turmeric, onions, all those things are great for the liver. And so I understand people like salt and sugar. I understand people are never going to give up their wine or cheese. But they understand that it's not helping them. And the liver is like a refrigerator, right? So like it needs a certain recipe in order to function and store the correct things in order to work. Put things in there that belong in the liver, right? Alcohol, I mean, most medications don't even belong in the liver, right? So I'm just trying to get people to like, if you're going to do all that, why don't you throw some broccoli in there, throw some avocados in there. You like, eat the whole avocado, right? Yeah.
I love that philosophy. When I was in nutrition school, we also saw that in the sense of like, instead of telling people, don't eat this, don't do that, how can we get them to like add healthy things to their lifestyle? And then you kind of, when you're adding like 10 positive things, so like it's kind of, you know, it kind of evens it out, and then it's not like, you know, so.
Yeah, well, I'll elaborate on that. So I've always done weight loss.
Okay,
like for people, like my own story, I normally don't tell people, but I understand weight loss very well. So when you talk to people about food, understand there's a deeper emotional connection that we all have. It's culture, even it's in our blood, right? If you were to tell someone, I'm going to take away your favorite food, yeah, exactly, right? So
Good luck.
Good luck. You're not going to do that. So you have to meet them in the middle. But I also understand when I work with people, I expect them to meet me halfway. They're coming to me for a reason. Like they're spending money to talk to me and they want help. So I'm going to say, I want you to do the work. I only want to work with people who want to make the change, right? Because that eliminates a lot of the hassle and the progress, right?
of course. Okay, so you talk about culture, and this is something that I feel is very important to mention. I am Mexican, so I understand the Latino aspect of how we like celebrate life with food, with alcohol, and I mean it's not just like the Latino culture. There's many cultures, even though that's the way of bringing people together. How do you teach your clients, and how have you found just kind of like mechanisms where you can function and, you know, be social and get that nurturing from family, from friends, but also finding balance with food and, well, you're not drinking, but.
I get it. So Mexican food, let's just go straight to it, right?
Okay.
I'm never giving it up, and I know you aren't either.
Exactly.
Okay? It's in our blood, okay? Rice is really hard for a lot of people to digest. Now, I talk to Puerto Ricans, I talk to Dominicans, I talk to Mexicanos. Rice has been a staple in their culture for years, right? So when you say, could you include quinoa instead? They look at you like, I don't know how that fits in with my mom's favorite dish or so it's very hard to put that approach. But what you tell people is, I think this is deeper than you understand. It's not just the idea that you're trying to lose weight. Really, why are you coming to me talking to me about your diet? I don't feel good. I haven't been able to poop consistently. I've been bloated. My hormones are off. My skin's falling out, or my hair's falling out. Like something's off. Like so that at this point they're willing to make a change. Food is not the important thing. They know it's not the answer, but they also know it's not helping them. So we say, okay, well, what if it's not just the food, but if we get food under control, then it leads to a bigger picture down the road. And I think you have to meet them halfway. You can't take away their favorite cultural food and get them to be like, consistently accountable. Like they won't listen to you.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just about just kind of like teaching them habits that, they will be able to incorporate, like, in their daily lifestyles when they can control situations, but still able, to function at that social family friend level.
Perfect. And I'll give a great example. So I usually use this Mexican restaurant like setting, okay? Especially with women and hormones and weight loss, it's one of the most common things I hear all the time. So let's say I set the tone where we're all sitting at the Mexican restaurant. You know, the mariachis are probably playing, the music playing, people order margaritas, there's a lot of movement, right? And everyone's sitting at the table and they order chips and queso. And everyone at that table, I tell the person that I'm talking to, I say, across the table, no one wants to eat that. You understand that. Everyone ordered it and they're smiling, but everyone's bloated and they don't feel good and they know it's going to make them tired afterwards, but yet they don't want to be that person to be like, I don't want to eat. But understand, no one cares about your diet. I said, so if you choose not to eat the rice, you can do the fajitas with just, guac and onions.
Yeah.
No rice and beans. Order the chips and guac, and all of a sudden, you're not the weird one. Okay, you want to be the weird one like me. I choose sometimes not to eat at certain restaurants because I know that's not going to agree with me, and it's not worth me running to the bathroom afterwards because I chose to partake.
Exactly.
I'm there for the ambiance. I'm there for the camaraderie. I'm there to spend time with my loved ones, which is what dinner should be. But most of the people sit down for lunch or dinner and they eat 5 or 10 minutes. Right? They're fast food. Just give me Uber Eats or whatever. I don't even care what's on my plate. And especially like executives, they're like, whatever someone will order for me. So they really don't care about what they're eating. So it's not about you can't stop eating this. You're addicted to this. No. You're addicted to something else. And that's what we really need to talk about.
So that's when clients come into your clinic, that's what you kind of help them find out, this kind of mindfulness or just emotional component.
Oh yeah, think about this. So everyone can use this for themselves, right? Hunger versus craving. If it's hunger and you're really, really hungry for that food, it's coming from here. If it's cravings, it's coming from here. And so one of the biggest things I ask adults, grown adults, are you hungry before you eat dinner? You know what they say? No. So then I say, why are you eating then? And they say, it's dinner time. So when you talk about this emotional connection to food, I have boomers that tell me I have to eat everything off my plate because that's what my parents told me. There's starving children across the world. I have to eat all this food. And now you have people who have been eating plant-based meat for like 10 years, don't really eat healthy even though they're vegan. They go to a carnivore diet and then they eat nothing but hamburger patties and then it basically swells up their liver. And I'm like, you're doing this all wrong. Like, it's not even real food and everything's not really organic. It's like, eat real food when you're actually hungry and this will solve a lot of these problems, but people don't realize hungers versus cravings.
That's amazing. No, that's huge. And I think that it's something we don't pay enough attention to as society and how we can, educate people when, it starts, at home with, our kids and it's often like overlooked.
Oh yeah,
right?
Always. Especially when it comes to liver. So I feel like what you're doing and what everyone's doing here at Biohacker World is filling in that gap that's needed, right? The doctor is not telling children, you need to stop eating McDonald's. I mean, it's legal to serve that 24 hours, and even in the schools, it's legal to give that to grown kids. My kids are allowed to have Chick-fil-A legally 6 days of the week, and Chick-fil-A just came out and said, we are going to use antibiotics in our chicken. Like, we have no choice. And parents are going to accept that. Let alone this, as a parent, my kids love Chick-fil-A fries. I have Chick-fil-A fries from 4 years ago that are sitting inside my cabinet in my kitchen. They have not rotted. They have not molded. They are rock hard. They look exactly the same 4 years ago. And we are legally serving this to our people, wondering why are people so sick nowadays?
Yeah, it's crazy. There's a lot of work and still advocacy that we need to do. I see the same. My husband's European, and the same American products that we consume here in America allow corn syrup, allow food coloring, and that the European Union would never allow. So companies have to modify, right?
Right, modify.
Their formulas to another market. So, and we're very grateful for the work you're doing, just like educating people. And I know that you have, talked a lot in your podcast in School of Doza. So can you talk to us a little bit about that and how this has helped, like, people learn these healthy lifelong habits?
So the podcast came from TikTok. TikTok grew very quickly for us, and TikTok has honestly been the most powerful driving force in our business for the last year and a half. It is a powerful tool. It's education. There's more people that have found us and found advice that they can be using, that they use on a daily basis, and it's very much something I think about on a daily basis. So the podcast came from the idea that I couldn't say everything I wanted to in TikTok. Either there was not enough time or I couldn't say certain things. Let's just be honest, right? The freedom of speech is very interesting in 2024. And a podcast really allows you to have more of a platform to be able to say what you want. I don't want to offend anyone. I'm sorry if I do, but I'm just trying to be honest, all right? I want to help people feel better. And so I have people, grown people, who come to me, pay me top dollar to tell me all their problems, every single problem. So I hear suffering every single day. I hear pain. I mean, I was in pain management before I did all this. I didn't even mention that. I hated my life. I was disposing opioids thinking I was helping people. That wasn't helping people. Helping people is getting them to realize that they are the problem and the answer. And I have to say it in the most gentle way possible. So when I say it on a podcast, I have 30 minutes to grab someone's attention, change their mind forever, and hopefully that they'll listen and they'll share it with someone else. And I have more people who basically reach out to me saying, I've learned so much from what you're doing. And it was intentional from the beginning. I said, I just want to educate. There's no agenda here other than just educating. You take this information, it's all science-based. If you like me, great. If you don't, cool. I've developed thick skin. But it's more of saying, I left my mark on this world to say, like, I'm going to help as many people as we can. Education is the number one way to do it. I couldn't think of a better way to do it than a podcast, hence the School of Doza.
Amazing. So you, in your experience, these people that, reach back out and they want to continue learning, they want to improve their health, what are what's a game plan that they could follow to see these improvements, just as you transformed your life, you got rid of diseases, you got your health back. So what would be like a plan for these people that start to become followers of the school?
Well, you could actually look at yourself as a student. I'm a student, all right? I've been a lifelong student. I have degrees on my wall that tell me I'm still a student. And I believe that it's an ongoing journey to improve your health with growth, right? One of the things that we talk about in our business model is our two business ideas. Does it educate and help others grow? Right? So the idea that you want to adapt means that you're willing to be humble and you're willing to change and willing to take constructive criticism and say, I'm going to improve on this. The best way I do is with labs. It's an objective, unbiased opinion. I'm like, look, you're diabetic. You didn't realize that. You have a fatty liver. No one's going to tell you have it. It's not me saying it, it's the lab saying it.
It's the science.
It's the science, right? So do you want to do something about this because you're abnormally out of range right now? People see it differently and they're like, so what does it mean? Do I need to be in optimal range? I'm like, yeah, you can be optimal. Hence the biohacker thing, right? I want to be optimized, right? So how do I get people to do that, right, is the bigger question. The accountability is probably the biggest thing that people need. Now, the podcast, this is what I talked about with the team. I said, what are students doing in between episodes? Because they're talking about, like, I'm waiting for the next episode. I talk to people that binge the episodes, like, in a row because they're all different topics. And I say, well, what if we created a school for them? I've always wanted to be a teacher. Like, what if I actually had a school? So now the School of Doza podcast has also turned to the online School of Doza. So I teach live classes every 2 weeks, or two times every week, Thursdays and Wednesdays. So let's say for $10 a month, you join the School of Doza. You have me live in a Zoom-like setting every week where I present an exclusive presentation, a class, a lesson just for that school. And then there's Q&As afterwards. You meet other people just like you in a community with people who have PCOS, Hashimoto's, thyroid, gut issues. They're all trying to learn, and they're coming from all across the country. They're all women. And they're all asking for help. I'm a librarian, I'm a mother, I'm a business owner. No one is helping me. I'm here because I want to learn. And they take the courses. They look at the classes. They answer the poll questions. They talk to each other, they post. I mean, it's its own separate app. And we created this online community that's quickly growing. And it's one of the coolest things I could have ever imagined. But we decided it's not that people don't know, it's that they're not aware. And I think that's the different thing. If you're not aware, it's because you weren't told this, right? Like, the ignorance is not an excuse anymore, because with TikTok and online, you have so many things available. You just say, like, well, there's so much information out there. How do you give something that's reputable and credible to the common individual? Give them education and let them decide what's best for them. Free will, right? So what we say is, we give you everything you want. Here's supplements, here's a clinic, here's an online school, here's a podcast, here's a newsletter, here's free online content. What else do you need? How else can I help you make the change and then maintain it? That's what I look at. And all those things are set up by design to do all that.
I love that. One, because it's accessible to everyone. You know, if you're signing up for these classes for $10, you can't even buy a cocktail. So you're spending, you know, your very little money and getting a lot of resources. And the community aspect, I feel, is very helpful because it will hold you accountable. Like, I can be your patient and I can make excuses to one person why I'm not following up, but I cannot I cannot let like 10,000 people down, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when you know that other people are, you know, suffering from the same like inflammatory diseases or things, you're in the same boat, you feel kind of obliged to.
Right. But you know what? Everything's taught me this. Okay, I went to chiropractic school to use my hands to help people feel better. Then I realized, wow, the body has the ability to heal itself, right? I went to nurse practitioner school to learn medication and how medication can help the body. And I realized medication doesn't heal the body. Okay, so then I said, what heals the body? It's not the chiropractor, it's not the nurse practitioner, it's the individual themselves. How do I get that person to realize that, to want to do that? Hence why I said I'm going to work with people who want to do that. There's enough people out there. But what's fascinating is I decided I want to work with people who really, really want to make that change. So I have people that throw themselves into the ring to say, I'm ready. Mm-hmm. I will do whatever you tell me to do. And I challenge them. Because when it comes to health, it is the biggest investment you will ever make. I've met poor people and I've met rich people. And you know what they have in common? Imposter syndrome. You know what they have in common? Depression. You know what they have in common? A fatty liver and poor sleep. I mean, it's the same thing. So when you look at what we're really looking for in life, success, how do you define success? I define it as I'm able to do what I want, when I want, forever how long I want to. That's health. I can work the hours, I can take the travel I want to afterwards, and I can spend time with my family on the weekends, and I'll have enough energy to do it. But if I kill myself in corporate or maybe at home, by struggling with my internal demons, then I will never be good enough to the rest of the community that needs me. So hence why I've had to work on myself every single day so other people could be better.
I love it. That's amazing. So you have the two types of people that come, the people that are already invested in their health and they want to be better. But I'm sure you're met with people that sometimes are dragged along by a family member or someone who's already there, and they're gonna, provide some resistance. Let's say,
Sure.
They're not so sure. So talk to us about a client you've had who was kind of challenged what you said, wasn't sure, but then along the way, completely became a believer.
Ooh, I can think of a husband in this situation.
Okay, always a husband.
It's always the husband. So the woman finds us online, does everything, and brings the husband in. I'm gonna bring my husband in. Like,
Okay.
he needs to hear this. I'm like, all right. So the husband comes in and he'll
Grudging.
like this. He'll sit down.
Bad mood.
Yeah, like, why am I here? And the women will sit there and I'll sit across from them. And I'm like, so what brings you in today? She told me to come in. Like, oh, this is always starting. I had this one gentleman say, here's a list of my medications. I'm not going to replace a bunch of pills with a bunch of new supplements. Okay. I had the same gentleman tell me, I like Diet Coke. I drink about 12 of them a day. They're really good with bourbon. Been doing it for 30 years. Good old boy. So it's a challenge. They're not going to listen to a guy saying, you need to do this, and you need to do this, and blah, blah. This is how I looked at it. I said, you like your grandkids? You like being a granddad? Yeah. I heard that you fall asleep in the middle of conversations with your grandkids around. So you came and watched them. So, yep. How does it make you feel? 5-10 years watching them grow up, or being able to watch them grow up. You think you'll be able to chase them around, keep up with them? Changes the mood, right? It's what they want to hear. Guys want someone to tell them honesty. I like working with athletes because if I told them to run through this wall because it would be better for their sports, they would do it. Guys want a challenge, but it's more than testosterone. In 2024, guys are finally talking about depression. Okay? I like having uncomfortable conversations where you have growth. If you're not willing to have that right now, then there is something wrong with you, right? And that's fine. You just need to address it, because constructive criticism means you come in and you say, look, I'm 45 years old. I thought I had my stuff together. I don't have my stuff together. Can you help me? Like, that's it. That wasn't that hard. That wasn't, what do you need help with? I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know. I'm a smart guy. I think I can keep it together at home I own a business. I'm a millionaire, for crying out loud, but yet I can't cry anymore. I don't know when's the last time I cried. I don't have friends anymore. All I do is drink at night, and I'm bored. I don't have any hobbies. I have guys that retire at 65 and they're like, I don't know what to do with my time. Seriously. And they come to me and pay me to tell them what to do with their free time. And they're like, should I just join a gym? Should I buy a gym? I'm like, you can't be in the gym 7 days a week. You know, so like it's I look at myself as saying, what do you need from me to help you bring out what you really need to address? And if you're not really ready to have this conversation, that's okay. We'll get there one day. Me as the practitioner, I know when to bring it out and basically how to break someone down, but bring it back to a safe place where you're like, look, this was therapeutic in nature. Yeah. Words are powerful.
And can you tell us about like one of those like stubborn husbands who in the end, you know, after, you know, opening up and being open to like new, just like doing something that they've never done before. So taking the supplements, taking the food, how like they completely did a 360.
Okay, I got one in particular. So this one person came in, this guy came in, IV. I'm run down. I heard IVs can help you jet lag. We'll call it jet lag. Right? Mm-hmm. I was like, yeah, cool. All right. So after the IV, when it's finishing, because I start the IVs too, and I was like, I came up, I said, hey, why don't you do this before you get sick next time? What? He's like, yeah, like do this if you know you're going to travel.
Preventative.
Like preventative, right? Mm-hmm. Huh, and you know, well, what's in this stuff? And kind of talking, he's paying attention. But I noticed he's wearing an Apple Watch like you are. I said, you like podcasts? He goes, yeah, I like podcasts. You listen to, guys love podcasts, right? I'm like, always, right? So I said, cool. So I meet him halfway because he's still kind of reluctant. Like he's still kind of, yeah, whatever. My wife told me to get an IV. Mm. You like podcasts? Yeah. Do you know what heart rate variability is? He said, no. I said, you measure it on your Apple Watch every day. I said, do you want to know what it does and what it means? He said, what does it mean? It says it means how you're handling your stress in life. And I bet your number's really low, which means you're not handling stress very well. And he goes, and he just kind of looks at me, Dave. So why don't you look at it? So he opens up the phone. You can tell he doesn't use it. The Apple, he has to stumble to find the app. You know, I'm like, so what's your number? It's super low. I was like, dude, you're stressed. You're stressed. And we start looking at his calendar and look. I was like, you've been stressed for the last 3-4 weeks. What have you been doing, buddy? Oh, I've been work. You know, that's why you got sick. All of this, and you have to have this thing on your wrist telling you, calm down, go to bed, and he missed the signal. When you talk about something like that that's applied in an everyday situation, because now he's like, I look at this thing all day. I track my sleep and my calories. Now I'm never going to forget this. You know what he does? The next week, he comes and brings his wife in. She's the reluctant one. She's like, look, he came in. He told me I got to have a consult with you. Like, you're this guy. You know what you're doing. But okay. And so I think it's more of like, if you can meet every individual's like own personal need with one thing and start with that, you grab their attention. What is it you need help with today? I'll help you there. I'll help you, get the trust, and then we'll kind of adapt from there.
Yeah, I think
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. So tell us a little bit about your clinic in Austin. Just, like what is the, the kind of overall, like what a day-to-day is there, and what you're like just doing in terms of like wellness and health.
I'm having fun. Every day I don't know what's going to happen. I show up and there's people there that like I haven't seen in 3 years. It's a health bar. Straight up. My best friend and I started years ago, fraternity brother of mine. I said, I stopped drinking. I can't open a bar with you anymore. We got to open a health bar now where people actually walk out healthier than they did walking in. And it's IVs, PRP injections, lab work. We do lunch and learns. We throw music festivals. We have a podcast studio. And of course, I still adjust people. But it's basically, if you want to be healthier, come to this business, show up, do some things, walk out, you'll be healthier. How many businesses can say that? That's my dream clinic.
Amazing. That's the kind of bar that I want to go to these days. So, guys, this is Nurse Doza. You can follow his socials. And thank you so much for giving us this, private interview. And we will look forward to seeing you speak later. So, thank you so much.